Ryan Pepiot continues to impress and almost made some history last night as the Dodgers get a big win over the Marlins. The downside to the game was Mookie Betts was seen in crutches after the game after fouling a ball off his foot. X-rays are negative, so we're hoping that he's okay. And then we get an update on the Julio Urías situation and arrest. So that's what's on tap. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB or use promo code LockedOnMLB for a free water bottle with any order. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And you can become an everydayer by listening to us every single weekday morning. We're here for you, so don't forget us. If this is your first time listening or watching, I'm Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snider, but he's out today, so it'll just be me. And we're both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team. We've watched a lot of Dodger games. We've been in the press box, been in the locker room, been at Dodger Stadium a lot, watched the Dodgers on TV a lot. We've made Dodgers part of our daily routine and daily life, and we're hoping you do the same by listening to us. And we're trying to just bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. So let's get into it real quick. Probably the East Coast people may notice, some of the West Coast people may notice. Episode's coming out a little bit later tonight or this morning. Sometimes we have things that come up and we can't record when we usually record. But the episode's here for you. It'll still be a weekday morning, so it still counts. And not that late, unless you're on the East Coast, maybe a little bit late. But either way, the Dodgers got a win last night against the Marlins, 10-0. And yeah, it was a fun game to watch because the Dodgers scored 10 runs and didn't allow any. And the big star of the game offensively was Chris Taylor. He had 5 RBIs, 3-run homer, 2-run double. But on the pitching side, the reason it was 10-0 for the most part was Ryan Pepiot. Pepiot was making this start. This would have been where Julio Urías would have started, but he's on administrative leave. So Ryan Pepiot gets to start, and Ryan Pepiot was really, 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 really good. He took a perfect game into the 7th inning, ended up getting broken up by a single by Josh Bell. But Pepiot continues to impress so far this season. He was, we've talked about how he won a starting spot out of spring training, was going to be in the Dodger rotation to start the season, and then he got hurt and ended up missing almost the entire season. And now he's come back and he's pitched in 4 games. 2 of those games starts, 2 of those games bulk innings, and he's allowed 2 total runs in 21 total innings for an ERA of 0.86. He has 17 strikeouts in those 21 innings. He's only allowed 2 walks in those 21 innings, and he's only allowed 9 hits in those 21 innings. So by any stretch or by any way you look at his numbers, they're pretty good. And last night he had only 3 strikeouts, but again, he was able to get through 7 scoreless innings. And even though it was only 3 strikeouts, he did have, double-digit swings and misses. He got 10 swings and misses, especially on the changeup. On the changeup, he had 15. He threw it 34 times. He got 15 swings on those 34 pitches. And of those 15 swings, he got 5 swings and misses. So that's a pretty good percentage for his changeup, which is his bread and butter pitch, which is the pitch, that really got him to where he is. And then on the fastball, he got 4 swings and misses on 24 swings. And then on the slider, he did get 1 swing and miss on 6 pitches. He threw the slider 9 times, threw the fastball 41 for a total of 84 pitches. So 84 pitches for 7 scoreless innings. That's pretty efficient. And yeah, like I said, he looked really good. He looks comfortable, and he looks like he knows he belongs now. And I know he's kind of alluded to that a little bit so far in some of these conversations he's had with media before and after games. But I mean, you can really see it. And we talked yesterday about maybe giving these young guys some runway, especially going into the postseason, and kind of seeing what we got. And at this point, Ryan Pepiot is going to get at least 3 more starts, I would imagine. And if 3 more starts that are maybe not taking a perfect game to the 7th inning every time, but if he's giving the Dodgers consistently 5-6 innings, 2 runs or less allowed, maybe 3 runs or less allowed, you got to consider him being a starter going into the postseason. And obviously it's all going to be contingent on a few things. And we've talked about piggyback situations and just having a bunch of pitchers and figuring out how to get 27 outs. But if the Marlins are a potential first round opponent, and he shut them down for 7 innings, Lance Lynn couldn't do that. And Lance Lynn's also someone getting consideration. He also shut down Arizona, who's a potential, the last time 5 innings. That's also a potential for, it's not like and then he went 5 innings, gave up 1 run the first time, his first outing of the season, which was against the Marlins. So, he's not facing, the A's or whoever. He's facing competition that would be potential first round matchups, and he's been able to dominate them. So, I don't see a reason for them not to consider him as a real starter in the postseason rather than someone that's piggybacked. He's going to be stretched out fully. If not already, he's going to be stretched out fully by the end of the season. He should be ready to go. And, we don't know what we're going to get from Kershaw. We don't know, you don't know what you're going to get from Kershaw health wise, like how long he's going to be able to pitch or velocity and all that kind of stuff. You don't know what you're going to get from Lance Lynn stuff wise, or, is he going to be able to get swing and miss? Is he not? And Bobby Miller's probably the one true, like, constant right now in the rotation. And even then, he's still a rookie, and he's a guy that's going over the most amount of innings he's ever pitched in a season. So, that will be something to monitor. But I feel like Bobby Miller's in a good spot, and he's going to be ready to finish out the season. Now you got Pepiot, fresh arm, looking really good. So I do think he's going to have heavy consideration, obviously, for a postseason spot in general. But, a couple more starts like this, and he's going to be a starter in a postseason game, whether game 1, game 2, game 3, or in the NLCS type situation, game 4, whatever it is. He's going to get innings. He's getting innings in the postseason for sure, almost at this point. Now it's just a matter of, do they trust him to be a full-on starter, or are they going to go with, the matchups and everything else? And, who knows? But everything's looked good so far. The changeup has looked really good. The slider's there just to keep people honest. The fastballs, had some life and been able to move it around and spot it and use it to his advantage. So it's been really fun to watch. Pepiot was a guy who came up last year, and we always say, oh yeah, he struggled, and he did struggle, even though the numbers show that he was pretty good for a rookie. But he did struggle. He didn't quite have the changeup. He didn't quite have the swing and miss. He was getting by because his stuff was good enough, but it wasn't necessarily what we maybe thought for as highly touted a prospect as he ended up being. But this year, the final product is kind of showing. And if this is who Ryan Pepiot is, obviously he's not going to go 7 scoreless every single time out. But if that's something that's in his bag that, can be consistently, 5, 6, 7 innings, 3, 2, 1 runs, that's, a very good combination for the Dodgers to have, or a very good guy for the Dodgers to have in their rotation, and someone that the Dodgers can count on going into October. So looking forward to continuing to see him in the rotation and see what he can do, and hoping that this is the Ryan Pepiot we're going to get for the rest of the way. So next thing we're going to talk about, we'll talk about the offense a little bit, and then we'll talk about Mookie Betts, who had to come out of the game early. He was reportedly seen in crutches after the game. And, that would not be an ideal situation if he had to miss time, but we'll see what happens. So that's what's on top. So let's keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird dog shorts are great. And, we've talked to you about them before, but they make you look good. They feel great. They are a perfect look for the summer, which is coming to an end. But, the hot weather is going to stay probably through October. So, and in California, it's shorts, or at least Southern California, it's shorts weather the entire time. So you don't have to worry about all that. Bird dog stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. They do the exact same thing that Lululemon does, but fit way better. And they're functional for any occasion. You can go play golf in them. You can go out on a date on them. You can go to the bar. Football's back. You want to go watch some football. You want to go watch the Dodger game at the bar. They're good for that. They're even good enough to wear in the pool if you're going to work out, if you're lounging around, you're going to work. Obviously, if you're a lawyer, you're not going to wear shorts. But if you have casual Friday and you wear shorts, then go ahead and wear some bird dogs. So go check them out. And right now, if you go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb or enter the promo code lockedonmlb at checkout, you'll get a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every single weekday morning. If you are an everydayer, we appreciate you already. If you're not an everydayer, all you got to do is start listening to us every single day. Remember, if you cannot watch the Dodger game, but you want to listen, SiriusXM or the SXM app is here to help you. All you got to do is search Dodgers, and you can get the home broadcast for any game. That's SiriusXM or the SXM app. Search Dodgers. Let's talk about the Dodger offense a little bit. They had struggled the first couple games here against the Marlins. They've, struggled a little bit the last couple games of the series against the Braves. But they broke out in a big way, and they put up 10 runs, and it was, good to see. And it was guys that had either been struggling or we hadn't, seen contribute in a little bit that really did damage. Mookie Betts, we'll talk about him right now. He was 1 for 2, couple walks, so he was on base. Freddie Freeman had 1 hit. He tied the Dodgers LA franchise record for doubles. Shout out to the Marlins ball boy who picked up a foul ball, and didn't realize it, and then just casually tossed the ball into the crowd. But other than that, they combined for 2 hits, only 2 runs scored and 1 RBI. But then you had Will Smith had 3 hits. Mark Rosario had 2 hits and 2 RBI. Chris Taylor had 3 hits and 5 RBI. And then Kike Hernandez had a couple hits and an RBI. Miguel Rojas had 3 hits and scored a run. Austin Barnes didn't contribute last night, but, he did hit one that would have scored a run. But Jake Berger made a nice play on it. But, yeah, like we've talked about, and, especially going to ring true depending on what's up with Mookie, is that the Dodgers are going to need contributions from the other guys, everyone else, in order to, succeed in October. And this is the type of game, maybe not 10 runs and maybe not all these hits that they had 16 total hits, but, Will Smith coming through, Ahmed Rosario coming through, Kike coming through, Chris Taylor coming through. Chris Taylor, no matter how bad Chris Taylor's season is, and this season hasn't been terrible, but I'm just saying in general, no matter how bad his season is, I'm going to feel pretty decent about him come October, just because he's done in the past. Kike as well. He's come through in October for the Dodgers and for the Red Sox, more than a few times. But this is the type of offensive output that is ideal for the Dodgers, and great to see. They hadn't had an explosion like this in a while, so that was fun, and really only 1 home run. So 10 runs off of 1 home run. That 1 home run did bring in 3 of the runs, but still all the other runs came, on base hits. And, that's always good to see. So shout out to the Dodger offense for doing it. And now real quick, an update. JD Martinez is expected back this weekend. So that'll be another boost to the Dodger offense. That'll kind of, slot everyone back into where they were before, and hopefully give this Dodgers offense a boost the rest of the way. Ideal situation is that JD Martinez is fully recovered, doesn't need to worry about anything else the rest of this season and into October. He's been out for about 3 weeks now. Did have, the rehab start with OKC. So hopefully good things coming for the offense. Now let's talk a little bit about Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts came out of the game early. It was, initially it was, just thought that he came out early because the Dodgers were up by a lot, and the Dodgers have been able to do that for, blowouts one way or the other. They've been trying to get Mookie and Freddie off their feet if they can. Then it was later reported that Mookie Betts left the stadium on crutches. Fabian Ardaya also reported that he underwent an X-ray at the ballpark, which came back negative. So nothing broken. The incident occurred in the first inning when Mookie Betts fouled a ball off his left foot. He stayed in the game, but apparently there was swelling, natural swelling that went on throughout the game. Probably, it swelled up a little bit, but he probably felt fine. But once you take your shoe off, when you hurt your foot or ankle, once you take your shoe off, that's kind of when the swelling, you really notice it, or it starts to swell up. When you keep your shoe on, the swelling kind of stays down. So I'm sure that's kind of probably what happened. It probably didn't feel great. He got the X-ray, was negative. The crutches are a little bit precautionary, just to, probably couldn't put some weight on his foot, or it didn't feel great putting weight on his foot. So he was able to, get the crutches, keep the weight off. Yeah, it was reportedly, some of the reports from the beat guys was that everything was precautionary. But at this point, we've talked about this, where the Dodgers season is at. If he has to sit a couple of days, it's not a big deal. The Dodgers are somewhat locked into the spot that they're in, especially in terms of seeding for the National League. The only, conceding wins at this point could cost them in the World Series, because if they play the Rays or the Orioles, somebody with a record better than them right now, then they wouldn't have home field advantage. But we're not worried about that at the moment. We're more worried about the health of Mookie Betts, and he's going to want to play. We already know that. And if he can play, he's going to want to play. I'm sure Friday, I would imagine he's going to be at least out of the lineup on Friday, and then they'll go from there, depending on how the swelling goes, depending on how his foot feels. But, it sucks for him because he's in the midst, he's in the MVP race. Acuna's kind of turned it up the last week or so. And, competitively, he's probably, not wanting to miss time, wanting to get out there, wanting to continue to do well for the Dodgers. But realistically, it makes more sense to kind of slow play this if they need to. And, if he needs to sit out a few days, he needs to sit out a few days and get back healthy. Because, while MVP would be fun for Mookie and the Dodgers, having a healthy Mookie Betts in October is a lot more fun for the Dodgers. So we'll continue to monitor that, see what happens there. Obviously we won't talk to you guys again until Monday. Ideally, when we talk on Monday, we'll talk about how Mookie Betts had a good weekend after sitting out Friday and had a good Saturday and Sunday. But we'll see what happens. And yeah, I mean that's really all there is on Mookie. And like I said, the rest of the offense looked pretty good. We're getting JD Martinez back. They go and play the Nationals, who have been playing well. But again, they're still, they weren't expected to be that great heading into the season. So the Dodgers should be able to take care of business. And they come back home and play the Padres, which should be, fun in a different way than previous years. So there was an update on Julio Urías arrest, and what does that mean? And, what does that, do moving forward? So that's what we're going to get into next. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. and you can get $5 turned into $200 in bonus bets, and you can bet $5 and get $100 off on Sunday Ticket, which is only available on streaming now. So, you got to take advantage of that when you can. So visit fanduel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season with offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Reminder to make Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. If you're not an everydayer, that's someone who listens every day, you can become an everydayer by starting to listen every single day, or at least close to every single day as you can. And remember, SiriusXM or the SXM app can help you if you can't watch the game. All you got to do is search Dodgers on there, and you can listen to the home broadcast for any game. You can also search Locked On Dodgers on there if you want to listen to us on there. So let's finish up with an update on Julio Urías. He is still on administrative leave and all that, but we got an update from the police, and the update was that how the arrest came to be was that it says a concerned citizen who saw a man attacking a woman after a soccer match at Exposition Park flagged down police. The man was unaware that it was Dodgers pitcher Julio Urías, according to a report released on Thursday. They've released, limited information, but basically it says someone flagged down officers after the game. The citizen saw a man attack a woman, according to the report. The man and woman were then approached by officers from state police agency that patrols Exposition Park. The officers, quote, determined a physical altercation involving the man and woman occurred. Julio was arrested, as we know, around 11 p.m. and taking in a book and all that kind of stuff. The other report said, and this is, kind of where it becomes something, is that ESPN reported that the Department of Public Safety, which is the officers that were outside the stadium, it says the report said DPS officers talked to the individuals involved and determined a physical altercation occurred, which ended up being him getting arrested on suspicion of corporal injury on a spouse or cohabitant. And then it says, additionally, DPS Assistant Chief Chris Carr told ESPN's Paula Levine that a civilian captured the incident on a cell phone, and that video is now in the possession of law enforcement. So, in this day and age, everything has video to a certain extent. And you would imagine, if there was video, when that video was going to drop, you probably thought, or if you were like me, that, somebody's waiting to, for TMZ or somebody for the biggest payout in order to get the video released. But I would imagine if the videos in, police, if they have it, I don't think it's going to get released by like TMZ or somebody. I would imagine that's not how it's supposed to work. I guess it still could work that way, but either way, yeah, if there's video, obviously this makes this case a lot, maybe not a lot, but it would help the case be easier to determine, at least at the very least, if they want to charge Julio or not. His trial set for September 27th. At the very least, it would show, do they have enough to charge him? Do they have enough to, after, if they do charge him, do they have enough to, to convict and everything else? That's beyond the point. But at the very least now, is it enough to charge him, depending on, all the witnesses or whatever they have and everything they have from that night. But yeah, the fact that there's a video, not that we need video for us or for anybody, to determine how we feel about the situation or determine how we feel about, Julio Urías or whatever the case is, right there, even if, it wasn't something that a lot of people saw or that, the cops saw directly, they were notified by a citizen and they determined that there was, whatever it was, that there was enough that happened and that was enough for it. So, you feel how you want to feel, and at this point, like for the Dodgers specifically, or for, for the Dodgers specifically, it doesn't necessarily, I don't think it necessarily matters, like what's on this video, whether it somewhat exonerates Julio or not. I don't think it's a matter of he's going to pitch for the Dodgers again, regardless of what's on this video. It would have to be, yeah, I don't know. I guess it would have to show that he did nothing. And even then you question, well, then why was he arrested? There's a lot of questions there. But I think the video and everything else is going to, I would assume, I don't know how much authority MLB has. They're doing their own investigation. I don't know if they can ask the cops, like, hey, can we see the video, whatever the case is. But all this stuff just lends itself to suspension for Julio. Like, how long is the suspension? That would, definitely contribute here. And all that type of stuff. I think in regards to the Dodgers specifically, I don't think it really matters at this point. He's not going to pitch this season. Realistically, the administrative leave is going to run through the rest of the season, and then he'll be a free agent. And I just don't see the Dodgers bringing him back for, not just, specifically for this reason, but, also on the baseball side of things. He wasn't pitching as well. You don't know how much you can commit to him and everything else. So, regardless to the Dodgers specifically, I don't think this matters. But for him and legal purposes and everything else, them having a video in possession obviously can change things in that regard. So that's the update there. We obviously don't want to keep talking about this situation and everything else. We will update as we see fit or as things come out. I don't know how, between now and September 27th, when his trial is set for, I don't know how much more information we'll get. The police have been pretty tight-lipped about any information they've put out there. And even the video part of it wasn't a full-on report. It was an ESPN reporter who talked to somebody and got that information. So we'll see what happens there. I know that they said if anybody has any, they're still looking for, I guess, witnesses or anybody that has information to contact the Exposition Park Police. So there's still, obviously ongoing investigations happening. So that's it on that front. Like the Dodgers go to Washington to take on the Nationals, and then they go back home. The Nationals have been a better team in the second half of the season, but they're still, not a great team, but they have some fun young guys. For the Dodgers, it's going to be well, at least 2 of the 3 games are going to be started by rookies. Emmett Sheehan's going to get a start. Bobby Miller's going to get a start. And then I think they still have a TBD for one of the games. I believe Sunday's game. It's Mackenzie Gore and Emmett Sheehan on Friday. You got Bobby Miller and TBD on Saturday. And then you got TBD versus TBD on Sunday. So, we'll see what happens. But, at this point, like we talked about yesterday, seeing these young guys the rest of the way, and determining, if they're going to be able to be a factor in October is really the basis for the rest of the season. Bobby Miller is essentially a lock at this point. It would have to take, I don't know, even if he has 3 bad starts, I still think he's a lock to at least participate in October in some capacity. So, and Emmett Sheehan's obviously, there's spots available. There's innings available. There's outs available for October right now. And it's up to these guys to go out there and get it. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to get subscribe to us. Make sure to find us where we get podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. The Everydayers are a group of people that listen to our show every day, and you can be part of that group by listening to our show every day. You can tell your friends, family, coworkers, people in the street, anybody wearing Dodger gear about us, and say, hey, if you want to, learn more about your Dodgers for 30 minutes every weekday morning, I got a show for you, and it's called Locked On Dodgers. You can listen to the home broadcast for any Dodger game, SiriusXM or the SXM app. All you got to do is search Dodgers. You get the home broadcast for any game. You can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snider. I'm at Vincent's91. DMs are open on Jeff and I's accounts if you need to get a hold of us. You You can also get a hold of us via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-LOCK. That's 5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, text Smart Device by Podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.